And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our second segment, and this one surrounds the Divine Ministries. Now what they've done is that they've put together, or they will actually be sharing with us their platforms for individualized learning. Now in with us to tell us all about this is Michelle Major. She's actually the manager at Divine Ministries. Michelle,
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Michelle, let's learn about this. Divine Mercy Ministries and this platform we're actually learning. What is it about?
So it started off with us looking at the fact that in Belize, standard classrooms are for standard students. If you're a middle of the road student, you do fine. If you struggle a bit in any subject, you just struggle, you're on your own. If you excel at a subject, you're just bored. There's not really room for those students. And so it started off with us trying to make room for those students. We developed classroom programs to help students who struggle, and we integrated international programs like SAT, AP, PSAT to try to make room for students who excel. In a time of COVID, everybody's struggling. And so it meant that we had to expand how we thought of our model. And so what it now becomes is individualized learning, because in a class of 30, you might have 15 students who are right on target, 5 students who are ahead, and another 10 that's behind. How do you work with those students? And so the easiest way to say is individualized learning, but integrating that into the classroom is almost impossible for a single teacher if they don't have the tools. And so I went about looking to get myself some tools.
And what did you come back with?
I came back with platforms for learning that have been used in classrooms in North America and Europe and even in parts of Asia that allow the teacher to set the pace for the student on an individual level. So I'm still the teacher, I'm still running my curriculum, but if I have a student who excels at math, I let them run ahead in math. So I could be teaching algebra, but if you can do calculus, knock yourself out, you have a device. In a time of COVID, we're all working from devices anyways. So that's what it is.
No, that's really, I'm thinking of COVID times right now, and what you just outlined is kind of what takes place in an average face-to-face scenario. When you add the layer of what we're dealing with right now, which includes some children who don't have access to devices, some children who don't have a support system at home, some who can manage it on their own, and then you have the other end of the spectrum, where some children have a dedicated tutor or teacher helping them with all their homework every single day. So the disparity and the learning gap is growing.
So that's part of our concern, is that we wanted to make it more affordable and accessible for more of the community to access tutors and teachers outside of the classroom. Because you're right, I can't afford a dedicated tutor for my kids, to come in on a daily basis and teach them. So how do I bridge that gap between someone who can and my kids? Because it's not, for me, I think that everybody's capable of learning. It's just, do you have the right tools? Do you have the right methodology to reach this person? Some of the programs that we use integrate things like audio prompts rather than just visual prompts. Because if I have a slight learning disorder where I process information in an auditory level, you can talk to me and I can process it, but I don't read as well, like dyslexia. That doesn't compromise my ability to learn, to process and analyze information.
It doesn't mean a lesser intelligence. It just means people learn differently.
But in a standard classroom, it means that your outcomes are lesser. To be fair to those students. There are lots of students that are academically or intelligently excellent and would be academically excellent if there was just a little bit of tweaking in how they were assessed and praised.
Wow.
Michelle, I could just imagine so many parents at home saying, thank goodness. Because the times are different now, where now you can be able to recognize, and especially if you have children to compare, that my child is intelligent or is smart, but they just pick up things differently. Or they have a different way of learning. And they may not have moved to the diagnosis phase to exactly know what it is, but they know that someone requires specialized learning.
Well, I don't even like to think of it, unless someone is on the extreme end of like autistic or having an extreme learning disorder where they just cannot function in a normal setting. I think different isn't bad. I think different gives us iPhones. I think different gives us microchips.
Yeah.
If those people weren't thinking different, somebody told them that they were crazy for thinking that.
I always say that,
Tesla was called insane in his time. And so for me, if a child processes something differently, that's not something to stifle or fix. It is something to be explored and nurtured, because that's our future. We need different to fix climate change.
You're speaking the language right now of parents like myself who've got who've got young children who are actually in the standards, you know. But the Divine Ministry Tutoring Center. Now, how can we get it?
Well, you could go to our Facebook page, which will be up on the Channel 5 website later today.
That's right.
You could call us. You could email us. We are partners. We are partners with SCA, so they do for the international programs, the SAT, the PSAT, the AP. We partner with SCA, so they're our testing center. So usually, if you reach out to them, they can get you in contact with us. We're pretty accessible. I'm pretty accessible. And if anybody has any questions, I'm obviously more than willing to tell them all about all my ideas. So
let's go back to the basics then.
Yeah.
How does it work? How do I get access to it for my child?
So you would register with us, and we have a variety of programs and for a variety of lengths, which means for a variety of costs.
Okay.
And for me, especially to be part of this program, I needed it to be accessible to as many people as possible. So I wish somebody would give me funding so I can make it free for everyone, because I'm terrible at that business end of things. But it does have a cost to it.
Okay.
But what I always try to tell people is you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay if you allow your student to continue to regress when they get to standard 6, when they get to 4th form, when they get to college and they have to do remedial classes and you're paying at that level, or you can pay to get them caught up now. And we try to make it as economical as possible. So one of the things that we do when we get a new student is we give them a diagnostic assessment.
Okay.
And that tells us where they're struggling, where they excel, and where to put resources to help them get caught up.
Okay.
So I'm not somebody that's going to go sign up for a full year program if your kid takes a diagnostic test and they're like, well, they just need that one thing. They're actually at level. Now, if the child is interested in moving forward and they're going Zoom learning, I always tell people at the end of the day, I have no malice towards a kid who's not doing well on Zoom, because I wouldn't. My ADD would have me watching Netflix. Like, I would be straight up watching Star Trek. Like, that's what I would be doing. I make no bones about it.
Don't give the children ideas.
They know.
I know, that's true.
They know.
That's true. We're just making the parents aware. That's what we're doing.
Because I know that's what I would do, so I can't be mad. My son does it. My son's like, and Blue's Clues. Like, because the tablet has on Blue's Clues.
So how do you run a diagnostic on a child when they're on the platform?
You do assessments that have specific subject criteria. So if your child is in a standard class, we would give them a math diagnostic with level appropriate subject content, and language arts diagnostic with level appropriate subject content. So it's testing for reading comprehension. I'm going to give you a paragraph and I'm going to ask you level appropriate questions. And I have 4 different levels: advanced, proficient, basic, and below basic. And it's simple enough for even a non-math whiz like myself to look at it and go, you score on this criteria, you score most in below basic.
Yeah.
You need to work on that.
And
So first you decide where they are to know what they need.
Yes.
All right.
And
I don't know any other way to do it.
And how do you, what have, like, since being that you've been doing this, what have you been finding out so far for children?
What I have
Where do
been
we lack? Yeah.
people are going to be mad at me. What I think students need most is analytical, reasoning, and critical thinking skills. Because if you have those, you can usually solve almost any problem.
Cool. Cool. That's a great way to
And
answer
that
it.
is developed in the classroom and outside the classroom.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree with you there.
I think it is an across the board challenge.
Yeah.
But I think institutions are what create the deficit because I've worked with students in standard first form to fourth form. That's where a lot of my work was. And I found that around third is where they kind of go, yeah, I got this. I figured out the system. I know the formula to pass. And learning doesn't become the reward unto itself.
Yeah.
I only do this for a grade.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, learning was a reward unto itself. You read books for fun. And if you read a book and you didn't know what was in that book, you went and found another book that told you what it
Cliff
is
notes,
that you
that's
needed
what
to
it
know
was
to
called.
understand that book. Whereas now, kids just go, I can Google that.
Yeah.
I can YouTube that.
Yeah.
Why would I read that?
Yeah.
There's a movie about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
And no one will know. No one will know if you Google the answer. We used to have to rely on encyclopedias.
Encyclopedia, student
library
companion, all
work.
these things. Yeah.
But I love what you're saying. So that's one step to it. But we missed the part where we talk about what age groups can benefit. You're working with high schools right now, but this does
Standard
include
1.
primary.
Standard 1 through fourth form.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
We're also looking to sort of expand beyond that to
Tertiary level?
yes, but it's more not along the lines of tutoring, but just sort of making accessibility, sort of education accessibility when it comes to international education for
Okay.
other
How
people.
involved do parents have to be on this platform? Because that's part of the challenge.
In my experience, parents need to be involved in the sense that they make sure their child is engaged.
Okay.
But the sense of you need to sit there and work with them on it, that's what the platform is for.
Okay.
So I'm not a preschool teacher. Me teaching my son, I can give him that knowledge, but the techniques to help him learn, that's not my skill set. I am not a calculus teacher, as my daughter will tell you. I cannot sit with her and help her do calculus, as she will tell you. But I can give them the tools to do that. And so the involvement of parents is to make sure that their children are engaged. And the hope is that once they start to see progress, they will choose to engage. Because usually when you're not into learning your academics, it's because you've learned that failure is inevitable.
Yeah.
So when you keep getting failing grades or you keep not getting it or you're passing, but you know you cheated because you had your phone while you were on the Zoom school, it's not rewarding.
Yeah.
And so the hope is that eventually the kids will start to recognize that it's in their best interest. But yeah, you don't need to be the teacher. That's what the platform is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's the average cost?
For an 8-week session, it's $250. That's 3 hours, so 24 hours of total time.
Okay.
It's small classes, so between 5 and 7 kids. What I've found is that if there are 30 kids on a Zoom class, the teacher can't really, unless they have a super big
Yeah, that's
screen.
true. That's true.
And if you're 28th down the list, they don't even know you
Yeah.
exist. Again,
Yeah.
it comes back to me muting my thing and putting on Netflix because
Yeah.
you don't know I'm here. What do I care? So it gives the students a sense of small group so that they feel like they can be seen and heard, and it makes it not so overwhelming for the teachers.
Okay.
They have the ability to check to go into the platform, into profiles, and check students' progress.
Okay. And that was only the 8-week. What's the 12-week?
That one was $550,
Okay.
and then the 20-week was $700, and then the 35-week is $850.
850.
So when you break it down, it actually ends up being about half, depending on the tutor, the third of the cost of a private tutor.
Yeah.
Which I thought
By
was-
hour. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you pay tutors by hour.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and then for the 35-week class, they anybody standard 6 to third form will be taking the PSAT as a way to gauge what their learning outcomes are. And and that's part of the program. They'll take the PSAT to gauge that learning outcome, and the PSAT gives them an independent snapshot. So it's not me telling you, it's not, even if you're like, you fudge that data, it's it's an independent system telling you where your child is, how far they need to go, what they're doing. That's something you can share with their teacher, with their school, so that they can then target resources towards what that child actually needs.
And what about the time of the day? So if I sign up with my child
Yeah.
and I'll take the 8-week, what time of the day do these tutoring sessions start?
So it will more than likely be after 4 o'clock, 4:30, and it would be, it's obviously we're going to be running multiple classes. So it's going to be somewhere between like 4 and 7. I don't want people to be up too late. Or it could be like 3 hours on a Saturday. So it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It might be like 4:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday,
Okay.
Friday. But it would depend on how the scheduling and the
Okay.
logistics work out.
so when do you plan to start?
Classes actually start next week. But for the 8 and the other weeks, except for the full year session, the 8-week session, those are rotating. So
Yeah.
There's
So you've had great interest so far.
there's been interest.
Yeah.
cool. But you did say on there that teachers are welcome to sign up. If I'm a teacher, why would I want to sign up? Or why should I sign up?
So for teachers, one, it is an opportunity for them to make a little extra money. I don't try to charge my students an arm and a leg, and so I can't pay them an arm and a leg. But it's also an opportunity to learn a different approach. So the approach we use is reverse classroom, and the teacher is a resource, not as a expert in information.
Reverse classroom?
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
The teacher does not lecture in front of a Zoom or Google Classroom thing and then give students homework. You get all the materials up front. You get all the tools up front. You do your homework, and where you have challenges, that's your teacher as a resource. Your teacher is a tool, because let's be frank, there's the internet for that. No one is an expert, because everyone is an expert thanks to Google. So what you are is a guide to help them process, analyze, and learn how to integrate that information.
Okay.
Amazing. Michelle Major. Things with you. So
Sorry.
next week,
Is there limited space
Yeah.
available?
Nope,
No
it's
limited space?
online at this point, so it is unlimited space.
so if you're supposed to get more than 7 persons for the 8-hour class, 8-week class, how do you break
No,
that
it's
up?
5 to 7, not more
Okay.
than 7. We don't want it to be more than 7.
You'll
per
just do
class.
multiple cohorts.
Yes, we'll just
Okay.
split it into
Yeah.
multiple groups.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Anything else you'd like to share with us with this big launch?
If your child is not standard, you are not alone. It's perfectly okay to have a kid who doesn't think like everyone else or doesn't process information like everyone else. And, find your village, and they will help you, because that it's not just you.
Yeah.
It's not just your kid.
All right.
So where do people sign up?
Again, the Facebook page.
There's
We
an
also have a
email.
presence on Instagram,
Okay.
which I don't run because I don't do social media.
There's an email address too, I think I saw.
Yes.
It's
info.divinemercies@gmail.com. Divine Ministries.
Divine Ministries.
I'm
at
getting it
gmail.com.
confused. Yes. Info
Okay.
at divineministries@gmail.com.
And the Facebook is the same thing, Divine Ministries.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Right.
Well, sounds good. Now we know. Now we know. Additional help is now in town.
Individualized.
Individualized
learning.
learning.
Individualized.
Why didn't they
learning.
have a reverse classroom when I was going to school? Don't answer that.
There was no internet.
All right. But we
Oh
do
my
appreciate you
goodness.
coming in and telling us all about it. There are a lot of parents out there, as we were saying before we started the interview, that are struggling. And this is going to offer them a great opportunity to provide the additional help to their children that they need in their learning process.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, so we're about to take the break. When we come back, Coco Love. What is Coco Love? Skin care and all that. Belizeans are actually stepping out and doing new things. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. Stay with us.